Hi, my name is Marcus, and I'm here on behalf of Fracture Sounds to show you the first sample instrument from their forthcoming series, Blueprint. Blueprint is a series of free sample instruments compatible with the Kontakt 7 player, based on the experiments and the passion projects that the Fracture Sounds team get up to, starting with this Electric Keys, which is based on a Fender Rhodes Mark I 73 key stage piano. Now, when Fracture Sounds contacted me about this and asked me to demo it, I asked them, am I the right person for the job? Because when I think of a Fender Rhodes, I think of stage performance and I think of jazz, neither of which I'm any good at. To which Fracture Sounds said, yes, because we want to show people that this instrument is compatible with a wide range of music, especially orchestral, cinematic music, which is apparently what I'm known for. So, here I am. Hello. We're going to talk through the instrument really quickly because it's beautifully simple, and then I'm going to show you what it sounds like in context with a bunch of orchestral instruments. Here we go. If you're familiar with Fracture Sounds, then all this will be instantly familiar to you, but even if you're not, I think most of it is quite self-explanatory. So stereo spread, if you increase this, it's going to move the lower half of the keyboard further to the left and the upper half further to the right. Versus. Chorus gives us some of that old school kind of. And next up, the signature Fracture Sounds atmosphere, complete with its reverse reverberations. And then finally reverb, which has got the cogs next to it to fine-tune it to your taste. And now I'm going to put the reverb at 0 for a second, just to show you this on the right here. You can have the signal directly from the keyboard or through a little bit of amplification. Here's what it sounds like regularly. And here's what it sounds like with the amp. These two are quite self-explanatory. The sound of the keys being pressed down, with it off completely. That takes me back to music class in secondary school a little bit. And then with it all the way up. And then, of course, same story here with the key release. Versus. Which can be quite a nice effect for chords and stuff like that. Now if I go over to these cogs on the left, this will give me access to the setup page where I can control the sample start. So if you want to perform live and maybe your keyboard is a bit slow, you can dial this down to nothing to make it a quicker response. Yeah. Versus having a complete uncut sample that might be a little bit slower to respond. It's the difference of versus. It's a very minimal difference, but it is there. I will say I do prefer the sound of the sample when it is completely uncut. Next up we have velocity response, which basically changes the dynamic range of the keyboard. If you have this turned all the way up, the volume between the loudest samples and the quietest will be quite extreme. So if I play a... But if I turn it all the way down, so yeah, if you had a piece of music where you were really enjoying these nice quiet samples and you wanted to keep them going throughout the whole piece without having to get louder and louder, this effectively works as like a really clean compressor. So yeah, I really like that feature. I'll set this back to 0 and that's it. Not quite as complicated as Tom Factory to demo that one, but you know, it's available for free and in my opinion, very nice, beautifully presented as usual. And I'm now going to show you what it sounds like with a whole bunch of my orchestration going on. I'll play it quickly and then I'll show you what I've done. So quite a lot going on here. I'll start with the first instance of the electric keys, which was used to make these ostinatos. I might have gone a bit overboard with the reverb. I think I've turned it up quite high. Really enjoyed the amp sound, and because of the fact it's always doing these quite fast things, I turned off the key releases but put the key press all the way up because I really liked that texture. And I think same with the stereo spread. I didn't want it to be sort of panned right because it's always playing quite high, so I've turned the stereo spread all the way down. And then in terms of plugins, got some quite heavy compression, low cut EQ, and then I think a swung delay. Yeah, there we go, just a quick delay. If you've watched my piano comparison video, you're already knowing where this is going. Next instance, a more standard sounding one, which is playing our main melodies. So with this one, I really wanted to emphasize the feeling of it being like a live performance. So I turned the stereo spread all the way up and the key press and the key release all the way up, so it makes it sound like the mics are placed as close as possible. And then what I've actually done is I just programmed reverb to CC21 so that as I was playing, I could then turn up the reverb as the piece progresses. So it starts off really dry and then turns up, which I thought was a neat way of utilising the really nice reverb that's built into this plugin. Next, I just put this in a lot of reverb, and you can see it's completely on standard settings. I was lazy with this, but to me, this sounds like a woodblock or something to that effect. But at any rate, it was just a really nice extra little texture. I needed some bass, and I thought, why not just take this instrument, tune it down 36 semitones. I sidechain compressed this with the deep drum ensemble from Tom Factory. Then finally, I thought, why not make use of the atmosphere layer? And so even though I couldn't take out the original dry signal, I figured I would just use the volume control of the Kontakt player to remove the initial attack. Yeah, sounds really nice, that. That's the electric keyboard. And then I suppose the other point of interest in this piece was I quickly threw together with some old samples I had lying around this vocal kind of thing. And that's Logic's vocoder coming in as well there. I think that's pretty much it. I did not expect to have as much fun writing for this instrument as I did, but it turns out it is a lot of fun to play around with, and I hope you'll agree, sounds really good on its own or even as part of a large orchestra. And again, it's downloadable for free. All you have to do is sign up to the Fracture Sounds newsletter. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and if you did, please consider subscribing and dinging the notification bell, etc, etc. And I will see you when I see you. Goodbye.